At 81, Dame Helen Mirren named the one man she never got over. You know what surprised me the most? It wasn't that Helen Mirren admitted she still loves another man. It was that she said it while standing beside nearly 3 decades of a happy marriage, and somehow, it made perfect sense. Most people think great love stories have one ending. Hers never did. For years, I thought Helen Mirren's life looked almost too perfect from the outside. Oscar winner, Dame of the British Empire, married to acclaimed director Taylor Hackford since the late 1990s. A Hollywood romance that actually lasted. Then I came across something she said about Liam Neeson, not in a dramatic interview, not as some shocking confession, just honestly. She said she would love him until the day she dies. That sentence stayed with me, not because it sounded scandalous, because it sounded real. And suddenly I realized Helen Mirren has never tried to pretend that life fits neatly into one chapter. That's what makes her story different. Long before she became one of Britain's greatest actresses, she was simply Elena Mironov, growing up in post-war England, inside a family that never quite fit anywhere. Her father came from Russian aristocratic roots. Her mother was proudly working-class English. During World War II, the family quietly changed their surname from Mironov to Mirren because a Russian name wasn't exactly easy to carry at the time. I've always found that detail fascinating. Imagine spending your childhood watching your own family reshape its identity just to survive. Maybe that's why Helen never became interested in living according to other people's expectations. Even when success arrived, she kept choosing experiences over appearances. One story proves that better than anything. At just 22, instead of chasing glamorous opportunities, she traveled across Israel shortly after the Six-Day War with a young Jewish boyfriend. They hitchhiked. They volunteered on a kibbutz. They picked grapes under the sun, worked in kitchens, shared meals with strangers. It sounds nothing like the beginning of a Hollywood legend. Yet decades later, Helen still spoke about that summer with remarkable emotion. I found that incredibly telling. Most people remember awards. She remembered dirt beneath her fingernails. Years afterward, when she accepted the role of Golda Meir, she admitted that youthful trip helped her understand the country in a deeply personal way. Life has a strange way of connecting moments separated by 50 years. But if that summer shaped her worldview, meeting Liam Neeson changed her heart. Oddly enough, their story didn't begin with fame. It began on the muddy set of Excalibur in 1980. Helen was already respected. Liam was almost unknown. He later admitted that the moment he saw her walking across the set in costume, he completely lost his composure. "I was smitten," he confessed years later. I actually laughed when I heard another part of the story. Liam revealed he'd once read that Helen secretly copied the walk of men she liked. One day he turned around and caught her doing exactly that. When he finally told her decades later on television, Helen burst into laughter because she'd forgotten all about it. That's what I love about memories. Sometimes they're funnier 40 years later. Their relationship wasn't casual. They lived together, shared homes between London and Los Angeles. Helen, already established, quietly helped Liam find his first agent and navigate an industry that was completely new to him. She never made a big deal about it. She simply believed in him. Looking back now, knowing what Liam eventually became, that part feels surprisingly touching. For nearly 5 years, they built a real life together, not a celebrity romance. Just 2 actors trying to figure life out. Eventually, they separated, not because of betrayal, not because of scandal. Reports suggested Liam wanted the chance to become successful on his own, rather than always being introduced as Helen Mirren's partner. Honestly, I can understand that. Sometimes love isn't enough to erase the need to discover who you are independently. Years passed. Both lives changed dramatically. Liam married Natasha Richardson, a marriage filled with happiness until her heartbreaking death in 2009. Helen eventually met director Taylor Hackford while auditioning for White Nights. Their relationship unfolded slowly. No whirlwind romance, no pressure. In fact, they waited more than a decade before marrying. Helen was already 52 years old. I've always admired that. She never treated marriage as a finish line. She waited until it genuinely felt right. And somehow, nearly 30 years later, it still works. Which brings us back to the quote everyone talks about. When asked about Liam years later, Helen didn't dodge the question. She smiled. Then she simply said, "We loved each other." She explained they weren't meant to spend their lives together, but added something even more powerful. "I love him deeply to this day." Later, she went even further. She said she'll love Liam until the day she dies. Think about that for a second. She wasn't saying she wanted him back. She wasn't comparing him to her husband. She wasn't expressing regret. She was acknowledging something most people are afraid to admit. Some people leave your life without ever leaving your heart. There's a difference. Taylor Hackford has never seemed threatened by that honesty. Maybe because genuine love isn't a competition. Maybe because after nearly 30 years together, both of them understand that people carry pieces of their past forever. I actually think that's one reason their marriage has lasted. Nothing feels hidden. Nothing needs pretending. While her personal life settled into quiet stability, her career somehow reached another level entirely. Most actresses worry about aging in Hollywood. Helen almost seemed to become more successful with every decade. She transformed Prime Suspect into one of television's defining crime dramas. She portrayed both Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II. Then came The Queen, the performance that earned her the Academy Award. There's another irony I absolutely love. Helen has often joked that she grew up in an anti-monarchy household. Yet she became the actress audiences most closely associate with Britain's royal family.